Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you another new episode in the emotional, stormy, yet incredibly warm love journey of Lythieuca and Hùng. Every episode is a turning point, a story, a different feeling. And today's episode, trust me, there will be moments that make you go, oh my gosh. Lythieuca, a strong girl with a heart as soft as water. Hùng, the man who always stands behind her, protecting, loving, and afraid of losing her more than anything. So what will the two of them go through today? A new joy? A new worry? Or maybe, a storm that has just arrived? Let's follow the video to see how the story unfolds. And don't forget to leave a comment so I know how you feel. Morning fog still blanketed the mountainside in a thick, cold layer, cold enough that the strands of hair on Lythieuca's forehead were damp with moisture. The chicken coop still held traces of warmth, carrying the mixed scent of straw and the earthy smell of a chilly early winter morning. Lythieuca bent down, her hands brushing through each nest of straw to collect the eggs. Every time her fingers touched a shell still warm from the mother hen, the biting cold in her hands eased just a little. There were so many eggs today that her basket filled up quickly. She looked at them and let out a soft sigh, tired, with a hint of worry. If I take these to Uncle Ha, he can't eat them all. Maybe I should gather them up and sell them at the market. It'll help a bit with Tony's expenses. Her voice was quiet, but it carried the careful calculation of a mother who doesn't dare waste a single thing. Beside her, Mama Ha gently held each chicken so the girl could collect the eggs more easily. Every motion of hers was slow and careful, as if even a slight slip might hurt Lythieuca. Her eyes followed every movement, full of love, full of aching tenderness, the kind that comes from watching your child struggle for so long, yet still wishing they could suffer a little less. While working, Lythieuca kept talking about Tony. He's been better lately, but his teacher said I should limit seeing him so he can become more independent. The words sounded calm, but the last syllable trembled, like she was trying to hold something down. In the daytime I'm not too worried. But thinking about Tony sleeping at night without me beside him. She paused, fingers tightening slightly around the warm egg she had just picked up, her eyes blinking softly. I miss him so much, me. I'm scared that if he wakes up in the night and can't find me, he'll cry. The mountain fog still drifted thickly outside the coop's doorway, yet Lythieuca's eyes were even mistier, clouded by moisture and a quiet sorrow she couldn't put into words. Mama Ha stood there, placing a gentle hand on her daughter's back. She didn't say a single thing. But that small touch was enough for Lythieuca to understand that her mother was right there with her. Every second. Every breath. While gathering the baskets of freshly collected eggs, Lythieuca reached out to cover the remaining nests with straw to keep them warm. Cold mist drifted into the coop, filling the air with a damp, earthy scent. Right then, Mama Ha suddenly paused, then slowly sat down beside her. Her movements were so unusually slow that even Lythieuca had to look up, as if each step, each breath was something she needed to think through carefully. Mama Ha's voice was softer than usual, low and weighted with something difficult to say. There's something I haven't had the chance to tell you. Lythieuca froze mid-motion, one hand still holding the basket handle, the other resting unconsciously on her knee. Her eyes turned toward her mother, worried, waiting. Judging from Mama Ha's expression, a mix of hesitation and heaviness, she knew right away this wasn't the kind of thing you could shrug off. Mama Ha took a breath, pulling her coat tighter against the cold before continuing. She leaned closer, as if trying to shield them both from the wind seeping into the coop. A few days ago, Hung's biological mother came by. Her voice dipped lower, as if saying it too loudly might startle the girl. She said, she regrets everything. And, She said she bought back the old house. The moment the words left her lips, the entire space seemed to fall silent. Even the clucking of the chickens in the distance faded away. Hoài froze. Her breath caught in her chest, unable to come out right away. It felt like someone had quietly placed something heavy on her shoulders, soft, but impossible to shake off. Seeing her expression, Mama Ha continued, slow and careful, as though weighing each word. She said she wants to come back, to apologize, to ask for Hung's forgiveness. Hoài lowered her gaze to the dirt floor covered with chicken tracks. She didn't respond immediately, but her hand tightened slightly around the basket. A jumble of emotions rose inside her, hard to name, hard to sort. A small sense of relief that an elder knew how to make things right. A lingering worry because past wounds don't simply disappear. And a quiet, hidden fear that everything might repeat. Those days of kind in front, cruel behind, the sweet-sounding words that somehow cut deeper than insults, she remembered all too well. It wasn't about yelling or hitting, it was the coldness, the doubt, the snide remarks that made her feel like an outsider right inside the house that was supposed to be hers. Those were things even the strongest person couldn't forget. She swallowed gently, speaking in a trembling voice. I also hope she really changed. But, thinking about the past, it's hard to trust again right away. Mama Ha nodded immediately, not blaming, not forcing, not pushing. Her aging eyes held a rare kind of understanding, the kind shared only by those who've been hurt before. I know. Someone who once hurt you, you can't just trust them again overnight. Take your time. Be glad if it's true, but stay cautious. The two of them sat there side by side, neither rushing to speak. Only the sound of the wind slipping through the thatched roof and a few gentle flaps of chicken wings filled the silence. In that moment, they understood each other without needing to explain anything more. Hope was there, but caution still had to be held tightly in their hearts. At the same time, at the station, Hung had just finished his last shift of the day. The lights in the office slowly dimmed, leaving behind a faint yellow glow spilling into the damp, chilly hallway. Outside, a light rain fell, tiny droplets, but thick enough to cling to the trees and pavement, casting the whole area in that silver-gray hue unique to mountain afternoons. Hung stood under the eaves for a moment, zipping up his jacket, eyes following the streams of rainwater winding across the ground. He wasn't thinking about dinner. He wasn't thinking about exhaustion. His mind was on Hoài chicken coop, the one he had rebuilt several times, the one he had hauled sand to over and over just to keep the moisture out. He knew too well, just a little rain would turn the soil around the coop into mud, and one damp night was enough to make the chickens weak. And Hoài depended on every chicken, every egg to make ends meet for Tony. Without hesitation, he pulled out his phone. He knew the excavator driver's number by heart. His voice was short and firm, exactly like him. Bring the small machine. Sand it. Raise the foundation. Come now. No explanation. No questions needed. He simply let out a quiet, okay, and hung up, like it was the most natural thing to do. That's how he'd always been, acting before anyone even had to ask. Meanwhile, at the district market, Hoài had just sold the chickens and eggs she'd gathered that morning. The late afternoon market was packed, people squeezing past one another under tarps flapping hard in the wind. She carried her basket out toward the parking area, shielding her money pouch from the rain. The mountain wind blew hard, messing up her hair, pressing her shirt against her cold skin. Her shoes were muddy from the path out of the market, but her eyes glimmered with a quiet sense of relief, the kind a woman doing small, humble business earns through honest effort. When she reached the foot of the hill, she saw a familiar figure walking toward her. Hung, just off work, his shirt stained with dirt and streaked with rain. His hair was damp, his face slightly tired, but his posture still straight and steady as always. They crossed paths right at the turn into the yard. Neither said much. Hung looked at her once and gave a small nod. Hoài nodded back, her lips lifting just a little, a soft, warm smile. That alone was enough to make the little yard feel brighter. That evening, after the rain eased, the two of them worked side by side in the kitchen. Hoài cleaned the river fish, the cold water making her shiver slightly. She sliced the fish carefully, the sound of the knife against the cutting board steady and sure. Hung stood beside her with a basket of fresh-picked vegetables, soil still clinging to his hands as he shook it off and started prepping them. The small kitchen glowed under the warm yellow light overhead. The smell of sautéed garlic, river fish, and garden vegetables blended together like a gentle, comforting blanket wrapping around the whole house. Dinner wasn't anything extravagant. Just braised fish, boiled greens, and a simple bowl of soup. But when they sat across from each other, the warmth from the food, the stove, and their quiet presence made the home feel strangely peaceful. No long retellings of the day. No poetic speeches. Only the sound of rain dripping from the roof, and chopsticks clinking softly against bowls. And without a single word spoken, the feeling of closeness, of belonging, was clearer than anything they could have said aloud. That night, after washing the dishes and tidying up the kitchen, Hoài and Hung sat down together at the old wooden table. The table was just big enough for the two of them to sit close, its surface worn smooth by time, yet always clean because Hoài wiped it every evening. Only one piece of braised fish remained on the plate. Its steam still curled upward, warm and fragrant against the cold mountain night air. Hoài picked up her chopsticks, bowed her head slightly, and blew gently to cool it. Without saying a word, she carefully tore the piece in half. The larger portion she placed into Hung's bowl, the smaller she kept for herself. Hung hesitated for a brief moment when he saw the gesture. He didn't say, "Thank you," he never was a man of many words. But his eyes softened in a way only Hoài could recognize. It was the look of someone exhausted, but quietly cared for by the truest affection. Outside, the mountain rain tapped steadily against the thatched roof, each drop falling like the heartbeat of the forest night. It wasn't loud, just enough to remind them they were surrounded by nature, quiet, deep, and cold. Yet inside the little house, the lingering warmth from the cooking fire made everything strangely gentle. They sat side by side, eating the last bits of the day's meal in silence. Their eyes wandered around the house, the fading lime walls, the old wooden cabinet in the corner, the clay stove with the kettle still warm above the charcoal. Everything was simple, but every object carried the marks of the hardships they had endured together. Hoài glanced toward the door. The night outside was thick with moisture, only a faint yellow light reflecting off the dirt yard. When she turned back, her eyes met Hung's. His gaze no longer held the tension of the day, instead, it was calm, as though some burden had finally eased. Even if only for a few moments. Hung exhaled slowly, his shoulders loosening, the roughness he carried all day softening around the edges. He didn't need to say it aloud, but Hoài understood. He was tired, yet her presence made the weight easier to bear. And she could feel it clearly, the warmth spreading between them. After days filled with worries about their child, the house, the chickens, their expenses. Just sitting here beside Hung, with the steady rain falling outside, allowed her heart to slow down, no longer cramped with worry. The rain continued to fall on the thatched roof. The braised fish in the pot still simmered faintly from the heat of the stove. The yellow light made the kitchen look as if a warm mist was wrapping around it. And in the middle of the cold mountain night, the feeling growing between them. was like a red ember glowing quietly. Not bright, not blazing, but steady enough to warm their hands. Steady enough to keep a home standing firm against the rain and wind. Tonight, the story of Hoài and Hùng ends here. Simple, quiet, but warm, just like the little fire burning in their home. Tomorrow, life will bring them many more things. New joys, new challenges, and even moments they may not be ready to face. If you want to know how they will move forward, don't miss the next episode coming out tomorrow. And don't forget to leave a comment below, so I know how you felt about today's episode.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Bây giờ thì mình đang edit video. Mình đang đặt tên video. Muội cắn quá trời. Cảm ơn mọi người trong thời gian qua đã luôn theo dõi và ủng hộ cho kênh của mình. Bây giờ thì mình đang hoàn thành các bước cuối cùng. Do ở bên này mình đang còn làm dở cái này ở bên lát nữa nên là mình quay sang đây để mình hoàn thành. Cảm ơn mọi người rất là nhiều nha. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người trong những video tiếp theo. Cái xoang mũi của tôi nó lại khó chịu rồi, tối nay trời lạnh. Tạm biệt.